my audience members, Gary Hollister and Garrett Hollister. On September 11th, 2001, I was in 4th grade. Our principal came over the loudspeaker and said, "We want to take this time to pray for the New York City tragedy." At that moment, none of us knew what had happened. It was when we got home that we realized people had flew airplanes into the World Trade Centers and caused a devastating amount of damage to our country. As a 4th grader, it was the first time I realized that our country had enemies who really wanted to kill citizens. Hi, my name is Tyler Hollister. Did you know there are 1.5 million service members currently serving our country? Out of those 1.5 million service members, they make up the 5 branches of the military: the Army, Navy, Air Force, the Marines, and the Coast Guard. Out of the 1.5 million, the Navy makes up 351,000 with 106,000 reserves. Out of those 351,000, there's 2,500 elite fighting soldiers that we have. Those 2,500 are the Navy SEALs. The Navy SEALs are an invaluable asset to our military for their incredible attributes they bring on the battlefield. Today I'm going to talk about the requirements, the training, and the history of the Navy SEALs. The SEALs are an elite fighting force with less than 1% of the Navy being among them. You can't just walk in and be a SEAL. Some of the basic requirements are: you must be a male, must be 17 to 28, must pass the physical screening test, must pass the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery Test, must pass the dive medical test, must be eligible for secret security clearance. Some things that you have to keep in mind: you can't be colorblind. You must have at least 20/40 vision in your dominant eye and 20/70 vision in your bad eye. Women and Navy reserves are not eligible to become SEALs. Now that you know what the requirements are to become a SEAL, let's see if you have what it takes to make it. Every year, 1,000 of the Navy's finest enter the SEAL training camp, and 200 make it through. That's an 80% failure rate. As I mentioned earlier, the physical screening test is a peek into the real training that the SEALs do. In this test, you have a 1.5-mile swim, a 1.5-mile run. You have to complete push-ups, sit-ups, and pull-ups. Now, the BUDS training is the hardest part of becoming a SEAL. There are 3 phases of BUDS. You have basic conditioning, but don't be fooled. You run 100 miles a week, you swim 12,000 meters a week, and you do 1,000 sit-ups a day. You have a combat diving training and land warfare training. All of those 3 phases of BUDS are 7 weeks long. After those, you go to skydiving training, weapons training, cold weather training, small unit tactics training, and medical training. Now you know what it takes to become a SEAL. Let's discuss some of the history behind the Navy SEALs. In 1962, President John F. Kennedy created the SEALs. He felt that there would no longer be world wars and that there would be smaller acts of terrorism, and we needed the group to handle these types of scenarios. The first SEAL teams were the UDT men. The UDT stands for Underwater Demolition Teams. They were around since World War I, and the 150 of those men made up the first SEAL teams, SEAL Team 1 and 2. There are now 9 SEAL teams, 4 on the East Coast and 4 on the West Coast, with 1 SEAL driving team. SEAL stands for Sea, Air, and Land, and since they have to fight in all these different areas, that's why they go through such rigorous training. SEALs rarely have backup. Most of the time, they are the backup. I'll now be taking questions and answers.
How do you become a SEAL?
Good question. If you're not already in the service, you have to visit your local Navy recruiter, and you will talk to him about your options of becoming a SEAL. Next.
How long does Navy SEAL training last?
Basic Navy SEAL training, well, you have a year and a half between boot camp and being placed on a SEAL team. Once you're on a SEAL team, you have about 1 more year of training before you're sent off. But a SEAL's training is never done. He is always honing his skills. Now, I don't want to forget about the rest of the military men and women serving our country. Everybody does their part. But thanks to all the training that the SEALs go through, however, they are an invaluable part to our military force. Thanks to the tough requirements, the rigorous training, and the history of the SEALs, we can all sleep knowing that the Navy's finest is out there fighting for us. Thank you.